Hey, thanks for checking out my channel. Today we are doing a DIY project. We're showing you how to install a three-way switch. I have a three-way switch that's in my laundry room, and basically a three-way switch is a light switch or outlet, but a light switch that allows you to turn off the light on one side of the room, and then on the other side of the room with a separate switch, turn it back on. And that's what I have here in my laundry room. I got this Leviton three-way switch from Home Depot for like $3. All right, this is the switch that I'm going to be replacing. It already is set up as a three-way switch, and I'll demonstrate that. If I turn this off and then come to the other side of the laundry room, it turns on, come back, turns off. Okay, so this is definitely a three-way switch. It's set up like that. It just seems to be sticking a little bit, so that's why I'm replacing it. The tools that we're going to need today: a voltage tester. I got this for just a few bucks from Home Depot. And then a flathead screwdriver. I like this Cobalt double drive screwdriver because it allows you to essentially ratchet it. I can hold on to here, and as I tighten it or loosen it, the head continues to loosen even though my hand is going back and forth. So I can very quickly take out the screws or reinstall the screws. So those are the tools that we need. The first thing we need to do is make sure we're being safe by turning off the breaker to this switch. So let's head to the garage for that. Okay, mine is breaker number 12 in the garage. Okay, turned that off. Now let's head back in and we'll test it. Okay, so I set up some flashlights here to give us some light because we're in the dark, but you can test the switch to make sure it does not turn the light on. Okay, so that's first thing. Now we're gonna take off the screws. Okay, now we have our voltage tester. There's gonna be a line that says if it's off, or this is power, there's power on it. You're gonna test these leads where the wires are. That's where you're gonna check to make sure the power is off. This should have a red light beeping if the power is to it. You wanna make sure this tool works before you start testing things, because you need to make sure it actually is checking for electricity. I put in new batteries and tested it before this. Okay, now that we know that we're good there, we can take off this screw. Okay, so here are our wires here. We have the ground, which is at the bottom. Then we have our red wire. You can't see because it's been painted on, but we have a red wire and two black wires. You don't need the white wire for this. On the back of it, it's going to say which one is your common wire. On the back of this, it'll also notate which is your common. So that says common right there. So you're going to make sure that this is, you don't cross the wires or anything like that. Okay, the way this was wired, the wires are going into the switch, not around these, and I've always had a hard time pushing in there to release the wires. So I'm just gonna cheat and cut these wires off, and we're just gonna start fresh. Now, when we cut it off, I'm just gonna leave as little bit in there as possible to maximize the length of this wire, and you wanna mark which one is your common wire. I'm gonna leave my common wire as the one that has white paint all the way over it, even though I know it's the black wire. My other wire it's also black, but I'm gonna scratch off this paint. That way I don't get the wires mixed up. Okay, let's cut this off, cut this off. And then for the ground, we can just unscrew the ground and reuse the ground. It looks like there's a ton of paint all over this. You can thank painters for that. You want to remove the paint off the ground wire, so you want to make sure there's a good ground connection. Okay, now give yourself a little bit of room up here. So with your wire strippers, cut and give yourself a little bit of space. I like to do about a 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more. All right, the first thing we want to install is the ground wire on this. When we install the ground, we want to make sure that when we tighten it, this hook is going on the same way to tighten it down, okay? Okay, let me pause here and give you 2 pieces of instruction. 1, this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not an electrician and I'm not offering legal advice. Number 2, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate your support. Okay, the ground usually goes on the bottom, so we're gonna set this on here. We can tighten this around a little bit. Okay, now let's tighten the ground down. Okay, now the ground is on tight. All right, now we turn it over and we look to find our common wire. The common wire is one we left the paint on. So we're just going to make a little loop in this. Might as well make the loops on the others really quick. Okay, this is our common. So this is where it's gonna go. Oops, make sure the loop is gonna be tightening as you tighten the screw down. Like that. Okay. Now we just have 2 wires left, our black and our red. Now we have our ground on and our common wire on. The common is what's providing electricity to the switch. The other 2 wires are going to the other switch. We have 2 spots left, here and here. It doesn't matter which ones these go to. It could go this way, could go this way. And you may be saying, what, that's crazy, doesn't matter how you wire it. Well, what it does is it's just gonna change when this is on or off for the other side. So this doesn't matter, I'm just gonna do both black wires on one side and then the red wire on the other side. And let's tighten those down. Okay, you can see it's not quite connected there, so I'm gonna have to back that off. Okay, so I backed that off, now I'm gonna tighten it down again. There we go, that's nice and tight. Okay, so there's our switch. If you're having a problem with your 3-way switches and no matter what you do, the other one isn't turning on, then you just have to change the black wires. And then that'll allow it to work. But, all right, so now we're ready to put this back in. That started there. This one started here. Now what I like to do is test this, and I'll turn on the breaker just to test this before putting on the plate and making sure the whole thing's done. So I'm gonna go flip the breaker and then we'll test this. Okay, I tested it, it worked just fine. This switch worked as well as our other switch on the other one of the 3-way switches, so it worked, so we're good to go. I turned the breaker back off so there's no power. Now we're going to finish putting these screws in to tighten it down. Okay, now don't be a heathen and leave those screw heads looking like that. You want to be professional, make them all go straight up and down, okay? You want your project to look good when you're done. Take pride in your work. There, that looks good. Okay, so now last step will be to flip on our breaker, test one more time, and then we should be good to go. Well, that's it. We've finished installing a 3-way switch, light switch. We've turned the power on, we've tested it. We know that it works. I hope this video has been informative for you, educational, maybe a little bit entertaining. Appreciate your support. Thank you.